Well, for more on that issue of corruption, which is big and nettlesome in Nigeria, I'm joined now in the studio by the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Dr. Musa Aliyu, whose commission, also known as ICPC, is charged with fighting corruption in Nigeria. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Nice to meet you
and
too.
Thank you for your patience, and I do apologize for the slight delay. We just had a bit of technical challenges there, but I'm glad to say that it's sorted now. So let's get straight to it. Do you share the belief that many Nigerians have that corruption is getting worse, not better in this country?
I think the issue of corruption in Nigeria is quite challenging, but let us look at the statistics. When you look at the statistics in 2019, the MBS and UDC have made a survey whereby they said that there are about 117 million bribes that were given at that time. In 2023, that was last year, when the third corruption survey was made, it dropped to 87 million. At least you can say that there is progress. And secondly, when you look at the last year's corruption survey, it said that 70% of Nigerians that were interviewed, they said that at one time or another, they refused to pay bribe, which is a progress that Nigerians have started now showing that bribe or corruption is bad, and they have started resisting. So we can say that there is progress in the challenge which Nigeria is facing about corruption.
Right, but Transparency International, which is internationally recognized as a group that tends to gather statistics on corruption in many countries. They work with local organizations, statistical agencies, and so on. They say that corruption appears to be getting worse in Nigeria, with virtually every government agency contaminated by it. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, I know that the Transparency International Perception Index, that it has been challenging for many years for this country. But we are doing our best. Like I said, I have just told you the statistics which UNODC, which is a part of an organ of the United Nations, and the NBS, together with us, ICPs and other organizations that have conducted the survey of corruption. And from what it came out, it showed that there is at least a progress, despite the fact that I quite agree that there is challenge of corruption in a public sector, which the anti-corruption agencies are trying their best to see that we minimize this cancer.
What is the biggest challenge that you face in fighting corruption in Nigeria?
Yes, fighting corruption in Nigeria is quite challenging because there are so many issues, those of us that are in the realm of fighting corruption that have been facing. And one thing which I noticed right from when I was Attorney General and now is that many people feel like they can just engage in it and nothing can happen. Or I say impunity, because some people, because the system, there is weakness in the system. Because of the weaknesses that some people are exploiting. That is why this thing has continued to pose a challenge to us, those who are at the realm of fighting corruption. Because one major challenge that I noticed is the issue of culture. Because when you look at what most Nigerians believe in, that there are something which we are doing, that when you look at it is wrong, putting pressure on public officers. I'm not saying that it's an excuse, but one problem which most public officers that are holding high office, they will tell you that there is a lot of pressure going on them. And that pressure, maybe it puts on some of them, those who cannot withstand that pressure, to go indulge in corruption. But the major problem is that the institutions are very weak. And that is why...
That includes your agency.
Yes, I'm not saying that my agency doesn't have a challenge. It has, like all other agencies. And when you look at the corruption survey of 2023, it said that technology is one of the ways that can check or can block corruption in this country. Because if you look at the issue of TSA, the IPPIS, most of the money that has been leaking because of the introduction of technology, it has reduced substantially. And also if you look at this country, one of the biggest area where there's corruption is procurement. This is the place whereby most of the corruption are happening in this country. And why? Because up to now, we do not digitize and digitalize our own procurement processes.
So the real way to fight corruption is to make agencies like yours stronger, more efficient. I mean, do you see any sign of that happening?
Yes, like you said that the best way is for the agencies to be strong and to be independent. And our government is trying its best, trying to see that we do our work the way it's supposed to be.
Well, you keep saying trying their best. I mean, government has a responsibility to strengthen the institutions of justice, the criminal justice system, the police, and all the rest of it. When you say trying their best, I mean, their best clearly is not good enough, is it?
Yes, when you look at what is happening, I'm not saying that the government effort is not best, but really we are not yet where we're supposed to be. That's
well,
quite
you're
frank.
far from where you're supposed to be.
That's quite frank, because when you look at the level of corruption that is happening in this country, you will know that it is quite challenging. Yesterday I was attending an event where I told them that there are 3 cases which we now file a charge in court. When you look at the humongous amount of money involved, that will show you that still corruption is a challenge in this country, which all of us, we need to put our hand in the dick in order to see that we fight this.
Yeah, but how do you think the ICPC can be made more independent, be strengthened, and also be trusted by the people as being corruption-free itself?
One, really, the funding need to be increased, because the funding really is quite not adequate. Because those
when you say funding, does that include the salaries of the people who work there?
Yeah,
because, I mean, there will always be temptation, won't there, if you're underpaid and you've got, you know, family you've got to look after, you've got challenges within society, your parents are in hospital, and you can't pay for it. I mean,
that's true, but if you look at the salary of those in anti-corruption agencies, all of them is really a little bit good, more than other civil servants if you compare with it. I used to tell my official that I serve as a commissioner, and I know that the earning of a commissioner is far, far below that of a middle cadre officer in the ICPC. But still, it needs to be enhanced, so that, because those who are fighting corruption, they need to be comfortable, because they deal with a lot of temptations, because the amount of money that involved in this. So they need to take care of themselves, they need to take care of their family, so that they will not be tempted in order to indulge in the monster which they are fighting.
But the other thing, obviously, that needs to be strengthened is the criminal justice system. Because in any country where the institutions are weak, it doesn't matter which country it is, people will be tempted to be corrupt. But when they know that there is a sanction, that the police will come and investigate and arrest and independently, you know, make an investigation and prosecute, then they will be more reluctant to do it.
I quite agree with you that there is need for the justice sector to be strengthened, because issue of enforcement and sanction is very key, because it's one of the components of fighting corruption. And as you know that the justice sector of this country, really we need to look at it and strengthen it, because like the corruption cases, you find out that there is so many delays. The delays are too much.
Yes.
So that is why you will see the number of cases that anti-corruption agencies are able to handle.
But why do you think there are such delays?
Yes, because there are so many challenges. One, there are challenges from the anti-corruption agencies. I have to be frank with you. Sometimes the investigations, it takes time, and also there is also a problem from the court itself.
Right,
because,
the judiciary.
Yeah, the judiciary. And not only judges, sometimes even the court officials, and also even the other officials that are like the prison service, like the witnesses. These are all components that play a vital role in prosecution of corruption cases and other even criminal cases. So you find out that if one of the stakeholders fail to do what it's supposed to do, definitely there will be challenge of dealing.
So there are logistical problems that get in the way.
That's correct.
Can you tell us about a number of successes that you've recorded recently?
Yes, when I became the chairman of ICPC and I sit down and look at what is happening, the first issue which I can see that the success I got was in September. We were able to recover, September, October, we were able to recover about 21 billion naira This is something that we did.
You mean this past
Yes,
September?
in fact, within 2 to 3 weeks, we were able to recover about 21 billion naira. And secondly, there are cases which we have prosecuted.
What were the circumstances of that recovery?
Yeah, the circumstance is that we were able to trace, we were able to notice that there are certain things that is going on in particular government place whereby we're not comfortable with it. And we invited. I don't want to just go into
but
the details.
You need to publicize these things as a deterrent.
Yes, because we are still investigating.
Right.
But when we discovered it.
But you said you recovered the money.
Yeah, we recovered the money.
Right.
And now.
But you don't want to tell us where you got it from.
Yes, because we have made it public that we have recovered the money. I don't want to go into where we recovered the money, but it's certain we did that. And when we called those involved, we asked them, we have the documents. We look at the issues. Please tell us how this thing happened. And at the end of the day, we were able to push and got back the money. And secondly, there are cases which we prosecuted, although the issue of prosecution, which is what most people pay much attention. If you look at the role of, or the trend now of fighting corruption, the most important tool in my view is that recover the assets. Deprive the corrupt assets, because once they have the asset, they can use it to fight back.
Right.
But if you dispose of them with the asset the allegedly stole, that is a great weapon against them, and also that resources will be taken back to the government so that it will be used.
But they also need to be prosecuted.
Yes.
I mean, that's the way the criminal justice system is supposed to work.
Yes, I agree.
But are you letting them go? Is that what you're saying?
No. We are not letting them go. We are not letting them go. That is why even the National Assembly passed the Process of Crime Act. Because the essence of Process of Crime Act is go after the assets. Then later on you can go after the allegedly corrupt person. Because otherwise, if you leave the asset with them, like I said, they will use it to fight back. And also, what we need more in Africa is that we shouldn't allow our assets, stolen assets, to be allowed in the hands of those who are allegedly that commit this corruption. And also, another success which I can put it to that, during my time, we were able to track about 1,500 constituency executive project tracking. These are constituency projects whereby we followed to ensure that the projects are executed the way they are supposed to be, so that government money will not be lost in the process. This is something which we did it, and it is quite challenging.
Right.
In fact, I have been trying to see how can we use technology, especially the analytics, to look at how this pattern of corruption is happening.
Right. How is it challenging?
Yes, it's challenging because we have over 360 constituencies in this country. ICPC staff, they are not more than 3,000. And you have to go to places, you are talking of over 585 MDS. Right. So you have to go to places to see the projects, so that to ensure that those who are supposed to execute the project, they did it the way they're supposed to do it. So that is quite challenging.
And you don't trust the police to work with you on this?
No, we are not. It's not that we don't trust the police, because what we are doing now is that we call the civil society, the journalists, and also the members of the public, so that we'll go there, so that they will see what is happening. And also we mobilize the people in the society that this project belongs to you, and you need to own it up.
Right. Just define for us, if it's not asking too much, what you actually mean by corruption. Is it just an illegal benefit from public funds, or is there more to it?
I can say corruption is dishonest behavior in order to have gain. Because when you look at those who engage in corruption, their conduct is dishonest. There's dishonest in it. And also, they are doing it because they want to have gain or benefit, which they are not entitled. So in my view, corruption is dishonest conduct, which is made in order to have benefit.
Right. And someone said that, I think it was this chap called Aliyu Shogunro, who publishes these things called the Pontifical Papers. I don't know if you've ever come across it, but he actually did a very interesting analysis of corruption, suggesting that there is the corruption of need and the corruption of greed. The latter is the misuse of public funds or the defrauding of the public. Let's deal with that one first. To what extent is the criminal justice in this country, which includes your agency, the ICPC, able to efficiently and automatically handle that kind of corruption? Because that's the one that is like the 21 billion you're talking about. You're not going to get the policeman standing on the road collecting 21 billion. That's the big one, and I presume that is the one you really go after, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the one I'm referring to. Yeah, because it's quite challenging for this kind of thing. But like I said, that we are trying to do our best to see how we can curtail it. And
but of course, by its very nature, that corruption of greed exploits weaknesses. I think you mentioned that.
That's true.
In a country, in a country's political and economic, system, criminal justice system. So its prevalence suggests very clearly that there isn't a sound legal system in the country.
I think it's not sound legal system which is the problem. It is we, the operators, that are the problem. Because in this country we have fine laws, we have good laws. Because
we're talking about the legal system,
yes,
which
the legal
obviously involves not just pieces of paper where you've written laws on.
That's why I said that the operators, because if you can have a bad law, but if you have good people that are operating the system, it will be able to work. But if you have a good law and you have people that are quite challenging, the law will find it difficult. And I'm not saying that all, but when you look at the stakeholders, all of us, you will see that there are challenges which is coming from us. Like this issue of justice sector, you made mention that these delays is not only, like, I cannot say that it's only the court that is the problem. The lawyers too are bringing issues, because you know what is happening in this country. You will be seeing the kind of applications being churned out by lawyers, and sometimes because of this kind of attitude of some of us lawyers, the law is even becoming confusing now, because sometimes it's difficult to even understand what is even the law now. The certainty of the law is becoming
the
blurred.
Interpretation of
yes.
it.
Why? Because some of us, the lawyers, we will argue today, we will say this thing is white. The same one will say it's black tomorrow. And this legal profession, there are rules and regulations. All of us, we know it. But we are not abiding by the rules. And lawyers are supposed to be ministers in the temple of justice. Lawyers are supposed to promote equity, fairness, and justice. But
that must be so frustrating for you.
Yeah, it is quite frustrating. Because all of us that are in justice sector will tell you, because you will go to court and one flimsy reason will be brought and the matter will just be adjourned.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's only even the lawyers, even we, the prosecutors, we in that corruption agents, sometimes we are also bringing some problems. Sometimes maybe filing number of count of charges. You just need few count of charges to do your case, but we lump the charges, and also it's delaying this thing, and so that is why all of us, we need to look at what is happening. We have a responsibility, we have an obligation to Nigerians. We need to show them that we are really ready to fight this monster. We are really ready to support Nigerians.
Right. I mean, we're getting questions coming in, at large, about people seem to be very interested in the issue of those constituency projects.
Yes.
I mean, what sort of success did you record in actually seeing which ones were being completed? Because I've just been sent something here by my producer, Benga, that there were 3,600 constituency projects approved in 2020 at a cost of about 100 billion naira.
Yes.
And only about 2,000 were completed, 1,000 still ongoing, quite a few hundred abandoned, and almost, more than 500 yet to actually begin. I mean, what do you actually do when you go to check those constituencies?
What we usually do is
how do you follow it up?
What you usually that we follow the projects to ensure that what is supposed to be done as contained the Appropriation Act and also the Bill of Quantity are done the way they're supposed to be done. If they have not been done, we will ask the contractors to go back to the site. We monitor.
Yeah, but you're
and
saying if they haven't been. I mean, I'm just reading the statistics
Yes,
to you, that
yes.
a lot of them haven't been done.
Yes,
So what sort of action have you taken in
The
that
action we are
regard?
taking, I know that we are forcing some contractors to go back to the site to complete the contract. And I know that there are some times that we take some people to the court for prosecution, and we made recoveries of money. And I can remember, I don't have the figures now in my head, even within this year, I think because of our intervention, we saved a lot of money. From 2019 to 2023, I think ICPC saved about 250 something billion because of this constituency project, because of our intervention. And also we track about over 5,000. Like I told you earlier that look at where the contracts are.
Yeah, but do you publish your results?
Yes, we publish our results.
So that there is somewhere that people can go and check.
Yes, we go
that
on
these
the site.
things are done,
Yes.
and be able to monitor it and say, okay, this is what you've done, and you sort of give people a sense of where you've done it
In fact,
and what you've recovered.
we are doing it with journalists,
Or
civil society.
Yeah, but you didn't want to tell us what
Yeah, like
I mean,
Budgety is part of those who are doing this, as they are even bringing us cases, and also even members of the public are even reporting to us that so place. Last week I remember that there was even a ambulance in Sokoto State which we recovered and we handed back to hospital, which was diverted. And also I know that in one particular hospital, even Pampas was diverted by workers of that hospital, and we had to go and get those Pampas and return it back to the hospital. And also there are other places where the issue, there is a place where even I directed that this street solar were put inside the houses of people instead of the streets. So these are some of the infractions that you'll be seeing. And also sometimes you will go and see that out of mandate projects, you will see Ministry A that's supposed to deal with a particular thing, but it will go and be doing something that is quite different from its mandate.
But I'm wondering the limit of your powers, because a lot of people feel that in Nigeria, the powers such as those from the ICPC are circumscribed by the government in power. In other words, you can't get up now and you have enough power and enough confidence and enough independence to walk into a minister's office and say, you know, let's see your books because there have been allegations or whatever made. You wouldn't be able to do that, would you? You'd have to go and you'd have to wait for the government to give you permission, or the president or whoever to approve that to happen. And that's really the issue of that lack of independence, isn't it? I mean, you can't walk into the Senate president's office. I mean, you can't, do you understand what I'm saying? There are limitations to what you're able to do. Whereas if you look internationally, I mean, prime ministers have been brought in for questioning.
If you look at...
you see what I mean?
No, we are trying our best.
No, you're saying you're trying your best.
Yes, when you say that...
We need to know what the limitations are on you.
The issue of whether we are investigating high-profile people or not, whenever there's an allegation which we discovered or people wrote a petition against anybody, we do investigate. Because most of this issue of corruption cases that deal with documents. And when you request for the document, you'll be able to see what are the infractions. And also when you have prima facie case, you'll be able to take the matter to court so that these people, they face the trial. And we had been...
But we never hear about those things.
Hear about what?
Well, we don't hear about the things you said whenever there are, and I'm talking about high-profile cases. They're very few and far between. I mean, I know you might cite one or two.
Last week, about 2 weeks ago, we charged somebody alleging about $60 million. Can you tell me that somebody involved in allegation of $60 million is not a high-profile person?
It is a high-profile.
Yeah, so we do investigate, and also investigation takes time. Because one thing that Nigerians, they keep on saying is that you were saying that we don't do this thing. And if we do not do the thorough investigation, then there will be so many allegations that there is compromise, that all this. And this issue, to me, is better for you to thoroughly investigate the case before you rush to court. Because if you rush to court without doing thorough investigation, you're just going to waste your time.
Okay.
And so look at the statistics. How many cases that scale through in court? How many cases? Just look at the statistics, the high-profile cases. How many? And most of them because of one issue or another, technicality or something like that. So I think it's better for us to thoroughly investigate before we rush.
Yeah,
to
of
court.
course. Well, we're out of time virtually. Just leave us with a good thought about your agency before you go.
Yeah, ICPC is an agency that is saddled with the issue of fighting corruption. When you look at the commission, its mandate is as contained even in United Nations Convention Against Corruption, that the issue of enforcement, prevention, and also sensitizing Nigerians to despise corruption so that we will tackle this monster. And we at ICPC, we are doing our best to ensure that we try to make Nigeria a country where it's safe, where direct foreign investment will come, where people in Nigeria can live, most especially the young persons, the youth, that they have a country that they will be proud of. Those of us that we are from humble background can be able to compete with everybody free. We can have good education, good health care, and also we can be able to do what will take this country to be into a greater height.
Right. Okay. I want to thank you very much indeed, and thank you for your patience with us and sort of answering all, especially at the beginning when we had some technical issues. Dr. Musa Aliyu is the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, known as ICPC. His agency is charged with fighting corruption in Nigeria. Thank you very much indeed.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.